Good evening. The High Court has dismissed the jury in the trial of a man accused of killing and dismembering his parents with the help of his friend after a second juror quit because of psychological stress. The judge apologized to the jurors who had to look at gruesome evidence for days and will pick a new jury for a fresh trial. ATV's Winner Wong reports.
Henry Chow was driven to the High Court in a prison van this morning for his trial on charges of killing and dismembering his elderly parents in March last year. Also escorted to court was his 38-year-old friend, Sejin K, who faces the same charges. But the trial came to an abrupt end when the foreman of the jury withdrew after producing a doctor's certificate. Another member of the jury pulled out earlier after the second day of hearing and seeing evidence in one of the city's most gruesome murder cases. Deputy Judge Michael Stewart Moore said both jurors cited psychological stress from the case. The judge told the remaining 5 members on the panel that they too might have the same feelings. It would be impossible to continue, Stewart Moore said, although he could proceed with only 5 jurors. In trials by jury in Hong Kong, there must be at least 5 members for a verdict to be valid. Before dismissing the jurors, the judge said he was extremely sorry that they had to see such terrible evidence in the case. He said even though they were unable to complete the case, he hoped they did not find it a waste of time. They were exempted from jury duty for life. Stewart Moore will impanel a new 9-member jury when a fresh trial begins, but no date has been set yet. 30-year-old Chow is accused of murdering his elderly parents with the help of Tse. Both defendants have pleaded not guilty. During the 6 days the trial lasted, the court heard gruesome details, including police recordings of Chow confessing and describing the double murder. According to the testimony, the pair had planned the crime for months before slashing the throats of the victims, Chow Wen-ki, aged 65, and 62-year-old Siu Yue-yi. Their body parts were salted and packed into lunchboxes, the court heard. The remains were found stored in microwave ovens, rice cookers, and refrigerators. 12 years ago, another murder case in the High Court had to be halted, twice in fact, because the graphic evidence had upset jurors. In that case, a 50-year-old woman was accused of pouring boiling oil over her husband, stabbing him 16 times, and injecting him with insulin before storing his body under their bed with his head wrapped in plastic. The woman was found guilty and jailed for life. Winner Wong, ATV News.
Heavy downpours prompted the observatory to issue the red and amber rainstorm warnings twice today. The situation was serious enough for schools to be closed, and forecasters expect more heavy rain until tomorrow morning. ATV's Arthur Urquiola reports.
After a night of heavy downpours, the city woke to more rain this morning. The red rainstorm warning was raised just before 6 a.m., forcing schools to close. Students already out and about had an unexpected holiday. The alert was raised again just before 11:30 for the 3rd time since last night.
Since midnight until 5 o'clock today, more than 50 millimeters of rainfall were recorded generally over the territory, and more than 150 millimeters of rainfall were recorded over the urban areas and at Changquan-o.
The thunderstorm and landslip warnings were also enforced throughout the day. The observatory warned of flooding in some areas, and some supermarkets in Apley Chau had to close briefly to remove water from their entrances. Tram services in Western District were affected briefly when a tree fell at the Shek Tong Choi terminus. Firefighters were called in to clear the tracks.
We expect that there's still chance for heavy showers and squally thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow morning. And we expect that showers will ease off later tomorrow. Whether there will be another rainstorm warning tonight and tomorrow will depend on the rainfall recorded and also the severity of the downpours. And the observatory will closely monitor the situation.
Forecasters say weather conditions are set to improve after tomorrow, paving the way for fine and hot weather over the weekend. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
The pan-Democrats have raised the alarm over unconfirmed reports that Hong Kong may have to wait another 10 years for universal suffrage. They're calling it terrifying and shameful that Beijing or the SAR government may be the source of such reports. ATV's Emily Sue has more.
The rumor mill has gone into overdrive since the pan-Democrats announced yesterday they would meet Beijing's top man in Hong Kong, Zhang Xiaoming, in 4 sessions starting on Friday. Media reports have quoted unnamed sources predicting that Beijing will recommend a conservative framework to shut out people it doesn't want running for chief executive in 2017, and there may be no universal suffrage until 2027. The electoral system will stay the same if the government's yet-to-be-released reform package doesn't secure support from 2/3 of LegCo. The 3 ministers in charge of reform have already admitted they're not optimistic about winning enough votes. 3 pan-democratic heavyweights, Labour Party leader Lee Cheuk-yen, Democratic Party chairwoman Emily Lau, and Ellen Leung, who heads the Civic Party, took to the airwaves this morning in a bid to halt what they called rumour-mongering. Lau said it was very terrifying and offensive to warn that the SAR may have to wait another 10 years for constitutional reform. If the statement was made by someone in Beijing or the government, then it is shameful to scare Hong Kong people like that, she said. Don't think you can solve all problems by lying, coaxing and fear-mongering, warned Leung. He insisted that Hong Kong people want genuine choice in a truly competitive election. Lee warned that the city will become ungovernable if it's forced to accept what he called fake universal suffrage. The trio urged Beijing not to press for a high nomination threshold for chief executive candidates, as that would deter further discussion. Executive Councillor and NPC delegate Zhang Yutong, meanwhile, doesn't expect much from the pan-Democrats meeting with Zhang, who heads the liaison office. Beijing was well aware of the pan-Democrats' stance early on, Chang said, so both sides will only be reiterating their own positions when they meet. Chang said the opposition camp has already missed a golden opportunity by wasting too much time pushing for civil nomination. He said the National People's Congress Standing Committee, which meets at the end of the month, probably has a framework already in mind for the city's political reform. Chang said Beijing cannot wait for the pan-Democrats to express their views before making a final decision. He added that Beijing's stance is clear. It would never allow anyone who intends to end China's one-party rule to become the SAR's next leader, as that will lead to infinite disaster.
Police Commissioner Andy Deng is refusing to say if he will join the ongoing signature campaign against the Occupy Central movement. He says while he doesn't want his officers to sign up, those who do will not be breaking any laws.
The force will ensure that its officers will continue to be politically neutral when they discharge their duties. But I believe the public will also understand that as any other members of the public, police officers do have the same civil and political rights. In this case, I believe that we're talking about people signing up to express that they are against certain illegal acts. And so the force is keeping an open mind on this matter.
A man has escaped jail time for attacking a radical pro-democracy activist outside Eastern Court in June. The 59-year-old man will have to do community service for slapping the activist in front of the media and police. Here's Emily Sue.
Chang Ngok-yun appeared relaxed and friendly as he arrived at Eastern Court this morning to learn his fate, accompanied by supporters who claimed to be members of a patriotic group. He had earlier pleaded guilty to common assault for attacking activist Billy Chu at the entrance of the building on the 19th of June. Chan, aged 59, has slapped Chu twice outside the court building in front of the media cameras and police officers on duty. Chu, who founded a radical group that wants Hong Kong residents to be given priority over mainlanders, had been making a court appearance on charges of trespassing into the PLA barracks last year in an anti-China protest. Today, Chan was sentenced to 120 hours of community service for the assault and fined $500. He was sentenced after withdrawing an earlier claim that he was unfit for physical work due to his age. Chan's defense lawyer had tried to get him off on a fine, but Principal Magistrate Bina Chainra ruled that while the attack was not politically motivated, it was a serious offense that went beyond freedom of speech.
Health authorities say they're ready to handle any case of Ebola should the deadly virus appear in Hong Kong. An interdepartmental meeting was held today on tackling the disease that has claimed more than 1,000 lives in Africa. The government was out to show today that it will be ready to tackle Ebola should this deadly virus reach the city. Department heads met at the Centre for Health Protection headquarters to discuss strategy.
Today, the various departments have talked about ways to improve communications when there are suspected cases. Then we can inform other concerned parties as soon as possible so that the various staff in their organizations can take appropriate preparations.
There have been concerns about frontline medical workers not wearing proper protective gear and taking other precautions when handling the case of a Nigerian man staying at Chungking Mansions. He was thought to be infected, but it turned out to be a false alarm. Authorities said they only received reports of a man suffering from chest pain, and frontline staff were alerted of a possible Ebola risk only after he sought treatment at Queen Elizabeth Hospital last Sunday. The Fire Services Department said staff at its control centre will be more alert now and question callers about symptoms and whether they have travelled to the 4 West African countries where the virus has killed more than 1,000 people since February. If they suspect a case of Ebola, ambulance crews will wear protective gear when they go to pick up the caller.
If the information is not available when we receive the call, then when the ambulance crew arrive on the scene, they will make a quick assessment to the patient.
Protective outfits for paramedics will be the same as those used by hospital staff.
That we use the overall protective gown, which is more suitable and flexible for us to carry out our duty because of our duty nature.
Health Chief Koeng Man said today there's enough protective gear for hospital authority staff, but more will be bought. He dismissed suggestions for frontline medical staff to wear fully sealed body-to-toe protective suits, warning they will pose a greater risk of infection when they are being taken off. Pope Francis has begun a journey to South Korea that offers him a rare chance to reach out to China's leadership along the way. He left Rome earlier tonight, and in keeping with his tradition of greeting the leaders of countries he flies over, he'll be sending a telegram to President Xi Jinping. His message will be closely followed, as will any response from Xi, given the animosity between the Vatican and Beijing. The U.S. has sent more military advisors to northern Iraq to help prevent a massacre of tens of thousands of people by extremist forces. The troops are not supposed to take part in any fighting.
U.S. Defense Chief Chuck Hagel told soldiers at a base in California that another 130 military advisors have been sent to Erbil in northern Iraq. They'll join 250 U.S. Marines and Special Forces already in Iraq to deal with a life-and-death crisis. The mission is to help rescue tens of thousands of Yazidis trapped on a mountain. Down below, Islamic State militants are waiting to kill members of the minority group. While the U.S. has launched airstrikes to stop the militants, Hagel ruled out ground force involvement.
We're not going back into Iraq in any of the same combat mission dimensions that we once were in Iraq. Very specifically, this is not a combat boots on the ground operation.
This Yazidi child is getting treatment at a makeshift camp in Syria after slipping past the militants. She is one of the thousands trying to find safety in the Kurdish region of Iraq by going through Syria. All of the exhausted refugees suffered from blisters. There are already 12,000 Yazidis in the camp, but more are expected to arrive, helped by Kurdish forces and nourished by food supplies airdropped by the U.S.
We are talking about probably 150,000 people might be crossing. So we are trying to mobilize resources as much as we can to respond to the needs of those families and their children.
In the capital Baghdad, a political drama is being played out as Prime Minister-designate Haider al-Abadi won the support of the US and neighboring Iran. He's been chosen to replace the divisive Nouri al-Maliki, whose pro-Shiite policies were exploited by the Sunni Islamic State militants. Maliki is reluctant to hand over power, but he has told army and police chiefs to stay out of the power struggle, suggesting that he realizes his rule is ending. But in a reflection of the chaos in Iraq, a suicide bomber blew himself up at a checkpoint near Abadi's home in Baghdad, indicating that the incoming leader has his work cut out to end the lawlessness.
Hollywood has lost another beloved star, veteran actress Lauren Bacall. She died at the age of 89, a day after Oscar-winning actor and comedian Robin Williams hanged himself. Here's Arthur Urquiola.
With film fans still reeling from the sudden death of Robin Williams, Marin County Police confirmed that the 63-year-old actor and comedian had committed suicide at his home in the San Francisco Bay Area. He was found by an aide who was alarmed when Williams did not respond to knocks on his bedroom door.
The personal assistant was able to gain access to Mr. Williams' bedroom and entered the bedroom to find Mr. Williams clothed in a seated position, unresponsive, with a belt secured around his neck, with the other end of the belt wedged between the closed closet door and the door frame.
The coroner said there were cuts on the actor's left wrist, and a pocket knife with dried blood was found near his body. A toxicology report in a few weeks' time will determine if drugs or alcohol were involved.
We want to be thorough. We want to make sure that we cover all our bases, dot all our I's, cross all our T's, to make sure that we're not forgetting anything else, that we're not being presumptive and overlooking something that's critical to the case.
Williams had recently sought treatment for depression after struggling with alcohol and cocaine use. A day after Williams died, Hollywood is mourning another film legend, Lauren Bacall, who is reported to have suffered a major stroke at her New York home.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
That unforgettable line was delivered in the 1944 hit To Have and Have Not with Humphrey Bogart, whom she married the following year. Born in New York City in 1924, it was the first film role for the fashion model. She went on to star with her husband in 3 other films, including The Big Sleep in 1946. In addition to more than 30 films, Bacall worked on stage and won a Tony Award in 1970 for her performance in Applause. In 2009, she received an honorary Oscar in recognition of her central place in the golden age of motion pictures. Lauren Bacall, the grand dame of the silver screen, dead at 89. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
Finance news: Hong Kong shares closed at the highest levels in more than 3.5 years after overcoming early losses. The Hang Seng Index gained 200 points to end today's session at 24,890. Turnover was $74.4 billion. Technology giant Tencent Holdings saw a net profit for the quarter ending in June surge 59% to 5.8 billion yuan. Let's take a look at markets overseas, starting in the US. The Dow Jones is up 97 points. In Europe, the London FTSE is up 20 points. The Frankfurt DAX is up 130 points. The Paris CAC is up 37 points. US dollar cross rates: the euro 1.33, the pound is 1.66. It's 102.43 Japanese yen against the US dollar. The weather forecast for the next few days: mainly cloudy tomorrow with heavy showers and thunderstorms in the morning. Temperatures will range from 25 to 30 degrees. Sunny periods with a few showers on Friday, followed by a mainly fine and very hot weekend. Here's a look at the weather around the world. That's all the news for now. Thanks for watching ATV. I'm Edna. Good night.
Coming up, Newsline. Mega hit 900.
15 minutes. No problem.
A haunted morgue begins scaring the staff.
Oh, I feel something toxic here. It's very dangerous.
Ghost Whisperer, new season, tomorrow night at 9. Love it? Say it. Discover the latest and the hottest trends in Japan. Feel the pulse of the vibrant and fabulous culture. JP Time TV, every Sunday night at 6:25. Britain's top chefs are ready to do battle. Rock on! Taking the challenge to make delicacies. Eager to make the most profits.
Oh yes, the pork belly's ready.
Gentlemen, come on!
Who will be crowned the Master Chef? Chefs, put your menu where your mouth is. Saturday and Sunday night at 9. Be cool, keep updated with the international music scene. Warner Music Power Station, Thursday night at 10.
可以用我嘅技能幫到老人家維修屋企嘅設施，我自己都好開心。
原來我識嘅嘢同經驗都可以幫到人嘅。
我學識啦！
留心啲喎。
好彩有個哥哥教我咋。
係你哋令我有信心去幫咁多人。
Let's bring the values of volunteering into our daily life. When we help others, we also benefit. Volunteering, new attitude to life.
Is anyone else here?
Just underfoot lurks an evil so deadly.
Something dark and sticky. I mean, it wasn't oil exactly or tar. But...
You were looking at a highly intelligent, sentient life form.
The devil's haunting opens the door to hell. Something Beneath, Monday night at 9.
This programme only reflects the personal views of the programme hosts and/or the individual contributors.
This is Newsline. I'm Michael Chagani. Tonight, Alex Chow, Hong Kong Federation of Students, who was arrested last month. Alex Chow, as I said, you were arrested last month after the July 1st protest. You held and many others held a so-called Occupy Central rehearsal in Chater Road, and then you were all arrested. You knew you were going to be arrested, yet you did it. Why?
Well, the whole act, the civil disobedience action, is mainly to raise awareness of Hong Kong people that we need an authentic democratic reform for Hong Kong. And from the past 30 years experience, we could see that the traditional social movement is losing its power.
It's losing power?
It's losing its power to sway the government's mind. So we got to...
I don't think you say the social movement is losing power to whom?
The traditional way of social movement, like assembly, demonstration, and then...
You mean the peaceful way of demonstrating is losing
I would
influence?
say Occupy Central would also be a peaceful way, because you see, the sit-in movement, we did not occur any violence in...
So are you saying that the annual July 1st march is also losing its influence?
Well, I would say that kind of act is a branch of civil disobedience action.
But that has a police permit. Civil disobedience Occupy Central will not get a police permit.
Yeah, we didn't get a police permit after 12 o'clock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you were all arrested, right?
Yeah.
Yet you did it. And then about 10 days ago, you were asked to go back, and you and many others told the police you refused to accept their bail, and you told them you either charge me, prosecute me, or release me. And if I remember you saying you don't mind facing the consequences. But you know, you're 23 years old, you're going to be 24 in a few days' time. Alex, is that worth it? If you get charged and prosecuted, which you say, go ahead, prosecute me, you will have a criminal record. You're still in school.
The prosecution and an authentic democratic system, which worth us to fight for it. I would say if we really have a democratic system in Hong Kong, we'll get a better future. But now we could not see that we have a chance to grasp that opportunity.
What is it, Alex Chow, that makes you so angry? You just said that with democratic reform, Hong Kong will have a better future. I don't know that you're being persecuted at this point. Your future is not that bad. You can walk freely in the streets. So what is it that makes you so angry, and others like you, young people, that you would hold a protest without a police permit, get arrested, and then tell the police to prosecute you if they want to? Why